Hi, Greg James from Greg James Fishing World here, and today I'm going to show you one of my favourite snapper rigs. It's the very basic starter rig. So this is a start me up snapper rig. So you want to go out and catch one of those iconic 5, 10, 12 kilo snapper. I've caught heaps in my time. One thing you've got to do is make sure your line will go the journey. So what I've got here is some fairly robust, probably about 40-pound braking strain in the old language. So you can see it's quite a thick little job here, and for the big fish like kingfish or snapper, this is certainly the one you should get. It's a simple rig. Basically it be used for fishing off the rocks, fishing from a jetty perhaps, certainly fishing from a boat in deeper water where the tide is fairly strong, and that's where you'll certainly catch plenty of snapper if the time is right. So again, I tie my little knot at the end for the weight, and that's a double over itself loop. And so here you can see I'm just pulling that knot against itself, and it looks a little bit daggy, but it'll tell you what, it'll hold, it'll tow your car with that. Pull it back over itself, so you've got a really nice little knot there for either your hook or your sinker. When you're fishing with fairly heavy tide, fairly strong tide, it's important you have the weight to get your bait down to the depth that the snapper will be at. Snapper tend not to be above the high in the upper half of the depth of your water. So the sort of weight I would choose is something that's tear-shaped sinker made out of lead, fairly heavy, gets your bait down to where the fish are very quickly. So simply that's a matter of attaching the sinker again through itself like I do there, pull it back out, trim up the unwanted bits, tighten the loose end. So there we have it, a little tear-shaped sinker. Show the kids how to do this. It's very basic, but again, you can see it's made for action. It'll drop very swiftly. It's quite heavy, and you've done the first step in making yourself up a nice little snapper rig. This is the sort of thing I'd go serious snapper fishing for fish anything around about the 8 or 9 kilo mark. Then it's a matter of attaching your hooks, and I use a fairly similar approach to what you do at the bottom of the line when you attach your sinker or your weight. You do a couple of over themselves half hitches and in effect the surgeon's knot that I've talked about a lot. Pull that tight, and there you've got your eyelet, if you like, your loop. So basically a decent sized hook. This could be used for big whiting, big snapper, kingfish. It's a long shafted hook. I tend to find that a tip here is that if it's a short shafted hook, in other words it's not as long as this little baby, the snapper will take the bait and then spit the hook out, whereas this will engage the snapper far more effectively, and I find you'll lose less fish that way. When you buy them like this snelled, I tend to do that. I don't tend to do my own. It takes a lot of practice to get it right. Then you just attach your hook through itself again, through the loop, I beg your pardon, back into its own little loop. And so there's the, how will this work, we'll get this right. There we've got the hook attached. The first hook well away from the sinker, so that when the fish attack the bait it won't entangle with the sinker at the bottom. That will drop to the bottom. I'd lift it up a little bit, and then if you really wanted to, you could certainly attach another sinker about 2/3 of a metre further up the line towards your fishing rod, or your hand line perhaps if you're using it. So that's snapper rig 1, and that's a very basic start me up, get me going snapper rig. Large hooks, heavy duty line, heavy duty weight, and something that will certainly take a larger fish grabbing the bait and running with it, because snapper will certainly do that. They're ferocious feeders, and when they're on, you want gear that won't break and snap on you. You want stuff that'll get you that iconic fish. Tight lines.